We're about to begin the service, but before Whenever a minister gives me a topic of their sermon, the first thing I do, of course, is Google what songs will connect with the sermon theme. And so today was awakening and awareness, and one of the songs listed was Imagine by John Lennon. So that's how I'm going to begin the service today.
I look out at you and you look beautiful. Welcome, dear friends. Welcome to our spiritual home, the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tarpon Springs. It's right here in the walkable historic district and is known as the home of the Innes paintings. My name is Judy Pickett. I serve on the board as treasurer, and I'm your best friend. And I'm serving as worship associate today. We are a church of many welcomes, and we offer warm welcome to all of you who have joined us. If you are here in the building, we encourage you to meet your friends on Zoom in the forum room following the service. This is a liberal community of all ages, promoting spiritual growth, social justice, and the arts. As such, ours is an active church, and everyone is invited to participate in any of our activities, whether you're a member or not. To learn more about events on our church calendar is on our website, uuatarpon.org, or you can discuss activities with church members or your membership chair, who will contact you if we have your information. Although our children are not with us during the service at this time, we do have a faith formation program available with our gifted leader, Jami Cruz. Today, they'll be meeting with Donna McBurney. Children are gathering for their time together with her and meeting just outside the social hall. Weather permitting, they'll be outside. If you'd like more information about our programming, please contact Reverend Kristina or Jami after the service. For those of you present with us in the building, we have connection cards available in the pews by the hymnals. If you fill one out and put it in the offering plate or give it to one of the greeters, we will be able to keep in touch with you. There's a lot going on you might want to know. We are delighted to have Reverend Kristina Spaude leading the service today, and music is provided by our music director, Bonnie Whitehurst. Bonnie will be singing throughout the service, and you're welcome to sing along, wearing masks, to the songs and the hymns. Again, welcome.
We wanted to take a moment to offer a brief welcome and introduction to Oksana Durkee. We've had some interest from folks in the deaf community in our services, and so Oksana is here offering ASL interpretation. Oksana is 23 years old and a recent graduate of the University of Arkansas at Little Rock in December of 2021 with a BA in Sign Language Interpreting. She moved to Florida in early March 22 to be closer to family and to start on her dream of working in special education. She is excited to be here to continue her use of the beautiful language of ASL. Thank you.
Welcome, Oksana. We light this chalice with these words from Annie Forster. Come we now out of the darkness of our unknowing and the dusk of our dreaming. Come we now from far places. Come we now into the twilight of our awakening and the reflection of our gathering. Come we now all together. We bring, illuminated out of dark caves of doubting, we seek, unbedazzled, the clear light of understanding. May the sparks of our joining kindle our resolve, brighten our spirits, reflect our love, and unshadow our days. Come we now, enter the dawning.
At this time, we will sing Spirit of Life, number 1, 2, 3 in the Gray Book.
Our story today is The Rhino Who Swallowed a Storm by LeVar Burton and Susan Schaefer Bernardo. In the middle of the morning, Mika Mouse trembled under her blanket. A storm boomed outside her window. Rain crashed against the glass. Wind rattled the shutters. More than anything else, Mika was afraid of storms. A year before, a powerful hurricane had destroyed her home. "I'm scared, Papa," she said. "We are safe, Mika. The storm will pass soon," said Papa. "Would you like me to read you a story? I know just the one to help you feel better." Mika loved books, and Papa's gentle voice soothed in a way that made her forget all about the thunder. Papa opened the book and began. Long, long ago, before there were words, animals roamed in bountiful herds. Little rhinoceros lived happy and free, exploring mountains and meadows, rivers and trees. His world was delightful and chock full of magic, until out of the blue, the magic turned tragic. A storm swept through the valley, turning bright sky to black. A flash flood came raging, no time to react. Lost in the thundering, no time for wondering. Chaos and lightning, fury so frightening. Earth quaking, him shaking, water rumbling, him tumbling, raggedy, jaggedy, senseless calamity. The storm crashed through his world and tore it apart and took away everything dear to his heart. Rhino was stunned by the terrible scene, death and destruction all through the ravine. Enraged by the pain of such a great loss, Rhino reacted without a thought to the cost. Rhino looked at his world all tattered and torn, stood out on a ledge, and swallowed the storm. Inside his belly, he felt the storm growing. Inside his head, he heard howling and blowing. Like a tornado, he spun as the storm raged inside, growing bigger and wider than wide. What to do? Rhino worried as rain dripped down his face. I'm lost and I'm lonely and in such a dark place. At just the right moment to comfort and guide him, a spider dropped down and daggled beside him. The world up above is shattered and gray, but it's where you belong, so you must find a way to let that storm out and move through your sorrow. You'll find many helpers on your road to tomorrow. Oh, but that hole was dreadfully deep, and the walls all around him were slippery steep. Rhino tried to climb out, but was losing all hope when Kangaroo heard him and threw down a rope. Though Rhino was heavy from the weight of the storm, they towed him right up, got him safe, dry and warm. We're strong and steady and always ready. When danger strikes, we hop to it. Fire or flood, snow or mud, when help is needed, we'll pull you through it. Watching those heroes do what they do best gave Rhino the courage and strength to set off on his quest. That storm he was clutching made him buzzy and blurry. It kept his brain foggy and filled him with worry. Where do I go? What do I do? How will I ever make it through? After every dark night, there comes a new day. Be kind, do your best, and you'll find your way. Up comes the sun. There are steps to complete. There isn't a map. Just follow your feet. Rhino followed his feet to a wallowing spot where he plopped on a rock and had a deep thought. I'm tired of caging the wind and the rain, exhausted from holding this anger and pain. We're all on this earth to learn and to grow. A wise old tortoise chimed in from below. Allowing yourself to start feeling your feelings is the very first stop on the journey toward healing. It doesn't much matter if you're fast or you're slow. If you want to move forward, just trust and let go. Rhino shook and shimmied and stomped in the muck, and just as he hoped, that storm came unstuck. At first, one little raindrop leaked out of his eye, then Rhino let go and had a good cry. His tears formed a river that flowed to the sea, where a pod of whales swam happy and free. I do feel better, Rhino thought as he drifted. Then up swam a whale, and Rhino was lifted. If you ever feel blue, the whale said with a spout, remember to breathe. Breathe in and out. Sing your own song and take it deep, deep, deep. Then rise above with a joyful leap. As he floated home on a gentle wave, Rhino felt calm and strong and brave. His vision was clear like the sky above, and he looked at his world through eyes filled with love. He thanked the kind spider and the brave kangaroo and all the others who had helped him through. He was glad to know that if he ever lost hope, they'd lend him a hand or throw him a rope. He had journeyed his journey a very long way to find the light in a world turned gray. He'd swallowed a storm with no thought to the cost. He'd felt all alone. He'd been tumbled and tossed. Life would bring changes, beginnings and ends, but if he had faith in himself and faith in his friends, as they curled up together, he felt loved and protected, and he dreamed of a world that was safe and connected. He understood now it was love that mattered. Love could never be lost. Love could never be shattered. Papa closed the book and gave Mika a hug. I know it was scary when we lost our home, when it was destroyed last winter, said Papa. Bad things happen sometimes, and we can't always control that. But we had lots of helpers, said Mika, just like Rhino did. That's right, little one, Papa said in his gentle way. You're never really alone when bad things happen. There are family and friends, even people we don't know, who are always there to help us through tough times.
couldn't help but sing that song. How many of you sat there and went, yeah. Now is the time in our service where we take our offering for the work and welfare of this church. Ours is a free faith which must sustain itself financially. And this month, the Social Justice Council is asking for donations for Ukraine assistance. The April Give-A-Plate will be designated for the World Central Kitchen. Chefs for Ukraine are serving millions of people and families in the Ukraine, Poland, Romania, Moldova, and Hungary. The WCK serves chef-prepared meals to communities impacted by natural disasters and during prolonged humanitarian crises. To support this work, please go to our website, uutarpon.org, and click the Donate button. Select Social Justice Give the Plate and indicate Ukraine on the comment line. Or you can mail your offering to our church at 57 Reed Street, Tarpon Springs 34689. Just note Ukraine in the memo line of your check. The offering will now be given and received.
My offertory song is a Bach chorale, and the beginning of it, and it's Wachet auf, or Sleepers Awake.
I have two readings for you this morning. The first is a Buddhist meditation story. Once, a long time ago, there was a wise Zen master. People from far and near would seek his counsel and ask for wisdom. Many would come and ask him to teach them, enlighten them in the way of Zen. He seldom turned any away. One day, an important man, a man used to command and obedience, came to visit the master. "I have come today to ask you to teach me about Zen. Open my mind to enlightenment." The tone of the important man's voice was one used to getting his own way. The Zen master smiled and said that they would discuss the matter over a cup of tea. When the tea was served, the master poured his visitor a cup. He poured, and the tea rose to the rim and began to spill over the table and finally onto the robes of the wealthy man. Finally, the visitor shouted, "Enough! You are spilling the tea all over. Can't you see the cup is full?" The master stopped pouring and smiled at his guest. "You are like this teacup, so full that nothing more can be added. Come back and see me when the cup is empty. Come back to me with an empty mind." The second reading is What to Do on Spring Equinox, which we are just past, by Amy Schutzer. Compost this poem. Take out all the words that remind you of winter, words that slip frozen into the heart, bare limbs of words that stick into the sky and shake. Prune out dead wood. Rough, ragged, never gonna fruit, done is done. Pay attention to what is here, not what isn't. Send your roots into another row or field or bed. Mow, rake up all the grass. Layer as if you're expecting hail or deep frost. The end of winter is always unpredictable. Add manure, plenty of manure, and call in the flies, the dung beetles, the worms. Soon there will be heat, steam. The pile will soften, break down, give in, let go. Compost winter into spring. Take off those old clothes you've been wearing, the despair like a hat on your head. Dig into the pile, into the heat and the heart of what matters. Plant your garden and remember, each year, everything will be different. Compost what you can. There are two moments in my life that have struck me as cinema-worthy. Surprisingly, they happened within just a few months of each other. The second one I will mention first. It was when I was in Russia. There are many busy streets there, some of them 6 and 8 lanes across, and I'll just say that Russian drivers are a bit adventurous. Underground walkways are common so that people can safely cross the street. They sometimes form networks too, a way to keep people out of the weather. I was walking through one of these underpasses once in the middle of the day, and it was completely empty of other people. This had never happened before, and I remembered being struck with the idea that if I were in a movie, something interesting would surely happen at that moment. Most of the way through the underpass, a young man came walking through from the other direction. There was no more exchange than a simple acknowledgement of each other, and we each continued our ways. I learned later when he approached me at school that he was also a student at the university. Unfortunately, he spoke no English, and my Russian wasn't strong enough to support a lively conversation, and that was that. The other moment, though, was almost cliche, but someone could definitely have fun with special effects with it. Now, one way we might think of grace is as an unexpected, unearned gift. And so this was grace. It was a Wednesday morning, maybe about 8 a.m., when my alarm went off years ago. It was January 1st. I woke to the alarm in that very instant. It was like being struck with a massive download of awareness. Like someone had flipped a switch, and suddenly I knew all of these things that I hadn't before. I awakened and had an awakening. It was just 12 days after my 25th birthday. Research currently suggests that the brain doesn't become fully developed until about the age of 25. This is in part because this is the time that the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for higher level cognitive functions like planning, solving problems, and making decisions, becomes fully wired. If I were doing the special effects for this moment, it's like in the Matrix where these different strands of things reach up and fully connect with each other for the first time, now forever bonded. In the milliseconds following my waking up, my first conscious thought was, your life is a mess. And you need to take responsibility for it. It was true. My life was a mess. I was just days past a significant breakup and a few weeks from heading halfway across the world to spend a semester away from friends and family and everything I knew about my daily life. That morning, I recognized that I was having some serious mental health issues, soon after diagnosed with major depression. I could not stop crying. I knew I needed help. My family of origin hasn't had the healthiest relational dynamics. The realization, that awakening that came to me that morning was grace, as was my response to it. Along with the words, your life is a mess and you need to take responsibility for it. I also had clarity and strength to face whatever was to come. I could figure out each part and trust that I would be able to get whatever it was I needed along the way. And while that experience was a singular defining moment in my life, I'm also certain that it was shaped by many exchanges and thought processes that brought me there. As much as it felt like a sudden occurrence, in truth, I cannot imagine how it was anything but the result of many others. We cannot predict the outcomes or timing of thought processes or conclusions, the awakenings we experience in our lives, but there are ways to nurture the contexts that make them possible. Different modalities can help different people and at different times. Engaging in art or crafting or other creative processes is one practice. Mindfulness meditation and related practices, including Lectio Divina, is another. Gardening or cooking, yoga or Tai Chi, all others. Walking or labyrinth exercises, still more. Spiritual direction with a trained practitioner can also be helpful, as can intentional conversations like we have with our covenant groups. Any of these and others are all ways that we can open ourselves to possibilities. Through them, we can explore our innermost thoughts and feelings. Through them, we make the space in our lives to attend to our meaning-seeking and foster meaning-making. New wisdom and insights can then come to the surface, distilled in a way, the path cleared for them to rise and be heard by our minds, hearts, and spirits. And interactions with each other can create the friction that helps clarify or deepen thoughts or make new connections. If we take our camera lens and zoom out a bit and think about the collective, author Alan Wilson Watts wrote, "Through our eyes, the universe is perceiving itself. Through our ears, the universe is listening to its harmonies. We are the witnesses through which the universe becomes conscious of its glory, of its magnificence." And similarly, the brilliant astrophysicist and author Carl Sagan believed, we are a way for the universe to know itself. Some part of our being knows this is where we came from. We long to return. And we can, because the cosmos is also within us. We are made of star stuff. If they were right, we are also ourselves in our bodies and in our experiences, part of something greater. We knew this already on some levels, but there's a whole field of theology that shares similar strands of thought. During my Renewing Faith service a couple of weeks ago, I shared that I am a non-theistic religious naturalist, humanist, and universalist, informed by process theology and collective liberation. Process theology is where I'd like to spend a little more time today. There are many theologians who have engaged in this theology, written about it, taught about it, but I am going to be referencing what I appreciate from a womanist view, specifically that of Monica A. Coleman, as written in her work, Making a Way Out of No Way, a well-loved book, as you can see. Womanist theology is grounded in the experiences and thoughts of Black women. Black theology's goals are liberation and justice, and womanist theology adds the goals of survival, quality of life, and wholeness to that understanding. Process theology comes out of philosophy, most popularly through the work of Alfred North Whitehead. While there are many ideas interpreting and interpretations of what process theology means, the basic tenet of it is that there is a co-creation between God and the universe, from the largest elements to the smallest. Some people believe that all of this is God. Some believe that the universe is a part of God, but that God is larger than the universe. Some people may say that God is change, or the process of change. This means that with each act, God takes on a slightly different expression. We could think of ourselves as compared to atoms that make up God, in constant motion, forming and reforming new bonds among us. Each encounter creates something a little different and something new. And because of this process of change, new possibilities are always an option. We're familiar with the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s use in the late 1950s and 1960s of the phrase, "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice," a paraphrase of Unitarian minister Theodore Parker's work 100 years before. But it was former Attorney General Eric Holder who took it further and noted that the arc bends toward justice, but it only bends toward justice because people pull it toward justice. It doesn't happen on its own. That is process theology right there. The idea that we have an active role to play in creation and the state of the world at every moment. The good news is that we all have an equal opportunity and possibility to enact action. The bad news is the same thing, that we all have an equal opportunity and possibility to enact action. But we all have equal agency in this world. Going back to womanist theologian Monica Coleman's work, she says that making a way out of no way is an expression that acknowledges God's presence in providing options that do not appear to exist in the experiences of the past. It is a weaving of past, future, and the possibilities offered by God, a weaving that leads to survival, quality of life, liberating activity on the part of Black women. Making a way out of no way acknowledges both the role of God and of human agency as new ways break forth into the future. There are 4 characteristics of making a way out of no way: God's presentation of unforeseeable possibilities, human agency, the goal of justice, survival, and quality of life, and a challenge to the existing order. She notes later that in process theology, everything that happens is a product of the past, what's possible, and what we do with those things. While this work centers specifically on the experiences of Black women, I think it has much to offer the rest of us. Nothing needs to be lost. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is so irreversible that there is no possibility for it to be healed. We don't have to settle for the way things have been, although we will if our teacup is already so full there's no room for anything else. Like Rhino in the story earlier, maybe we get so angry that we swallow a storm, one so bitter that it tears us up from the inside. We might ache with its pain, feel stuck in the hole that it makes in our lives. But when we breathe and let go, or do a shimmy and shake, or some warrior poses, or find friends to sit with us, we can find a way forward, one that holds us tenderly in love as we learn to emerge more fully ourselves. We may find ourselves with a compost pile, figuratively at least, where we have a bunch of stuff holding us that we no longer find useful or meaningful. This sometimes happens for people as they are sifting through the beliefs they grew up with or other things. Gently or not so much, we might find that what we no longer find serves us and send it along to become something else, leaving us to become more who we want to be. By letting those old beliefs go and not perpetuating them anymore, we free ourselves, awaken our minds, hearts, and spirits, and we make space for other possibilities and beliefs to surface. We empty the teacup, compost the winter, find possibilities that carry us into the future present. It is never too late. We always have possibilities. I know there have been times in my life when that didn't seem to be true, and yet one day I woke up and was given an unlimited number of them. I just had to be awakened to that knowledge. Those moments of awakening come as flecks of insight or connections during moments alone or in conversations with others, from meditation, cross-stitching, walking, or other practices. And when we make mistakes, there is always the possibility for healing and starting anew. Even if another doesn't want to be part of that experience or process with you, that doesn't mean that you can't find healing or help others with theirs. Just as new blooms and shoots unfurl to display themselves anew each day, so too are our hearts, minds, and spirits ready to be opened to take in the truth, beauty, wisdom, and goodness offered in this world, if only we will witness to it. If you would please join me in singing our closing hymn, number 298, Wake Now My Senses. Again, that is hymn number 298.
Wake
In The Gift of Faith, Jean Harrison Newyar has written, "In the lore of ancient China, there is a story of a philosopher who was asked, 'Where is the road called hope?' He replied, 'It does not exist, but as people move forward upon it, it comes into being.' I invite you to continue moving forward on this path, this journey, this awakening to hope with me."
We hope you have found meaning in today's service. And we close with these words from Kevin Jacko. "When the candle dims, the wax almost spent, the light turns amber like a sunset. Still it provides light. Still it provides heat. Still it can kindle new flame and pass its glow on, and contribute to new illumination when sunsets turn to new days. When seasons transform all, when the candle dims, all is not lost. Hope continues, uncertain and true, like candlelight, ready to spark again. All is not lost." Couple of announcements. As you might have noticed when you came in through the back door, there were things on the counter and there's food on the island. And you know what that means. Coffee hour is back. From a free will donation, hospitality supplies coffee, tea, drinks, and paper goods. All the rest of us supply the food. All the food must be plate ready and received by 10:15. Finger food only, please. Starting on April 17th, Jean Nelson will be circulating a sign-up sheet to volunteer for cleanup. Yes, we do have to clean up, as much as we don't want to. We are recommending people wear masks while in the social hall and suggest taking coffee and beverage out to the patio to enjoy the fresh air space. Today, there is a forum regarding social justice after the service. Marlo Jones will make a presentation in the forum at the April 3rd, 2022 in person, immediately following the Sunday services. We hope you join us, and we thank you for coming.